happy new week. It is the last week for us for this year. We are going to be finishing up this Friday, and this is going to be the last live with Nat for 2020. I'm really excited about this week, wrapping everything up and getting set and ready for rest and recuperation and hang out with the family. My mum arrived on the weekend. She made the long trek across from Melbourne to the Gold Coast, stopping over in Sydney overnight. And we're really happy to have her here and our part time pet Ruby. So, today I thought let's talk about courage and how it always wins out at the end of the day. And I wanted to have a conversation around this because the other day we were in the car with one of my authors, Diane McKendrick, and we were just talking about how people who, even if they're not good at a particular skill or to do something that when they actually step up and do something that takes courage, like speaking in front of audiences or even writing a book, because that's the space that we're in, they're still going to receive acknowledgement and support and inspire other people, while other people who don't actually take that step and take those risks get to miss out. So you don't have to be, so what we kind of said, you know what, you really don't have to be the best at something in order to do it. um, Pretty much, she goes, I've heard some speakers out there like who are really, really crap. Like they don't add any value, or you consider them not to be, I guess, your cup of tea, right? And yet, when they step off the stage, he goes, they get approached and spoken about from people in the audience and all that kind of stuff. And you kind of think, oh, that was a total flop. Yet, they still have people who are interested. Hey, Suzanne, great to see you. So we thought about, and she said this is how I also think about my own life, or when I need to step up and do something. I don't need to be the best at it, but the sheer fact that I have the courage to step up and do it is I'm doing better than 98% of people out there. And with repetition, of course, you build up those skills and you become better over a period of time. So every single great speaker had to start somewhere and start speaking and externalizing what it is that they are passionate about in order to arrive at a point where they were kind of comfortable and and they communicated more effectively and all that kind of stuff. I mean, even if you watch my own videos on YouTube from years back, like 9 or 10 years ago, I sound like a robot. And when I listen to them, I go, oh, that wasn't very good. But I haven't removed them because I also know this is like the evolution of the journey that I've been on, and I'm okay with it. If we know better, we do better, right? And we keep trying to improve ourselves. So the difference between those people who get all the opportunities or get things happening for them is we determined that it was really about courage. Who is ready to step up and actually take some risks and be vulnerable, right? Being vulnerable is one of the toughest things for a lot of people, and I really want to encourage you to play in that space. So I want to talk a little bit about the various ways to think about courage and how to develop it. We grow like luscious plants, Kim says. Hello. Oh my God, you guys are talking of plants. Well, our garden here is landscaped and done, but the last 3 days it has not stopped raining. It's just raining, raining, raining. I have not been able to leave the house at all. Talk about being on the Gold Coast. Beautiful one day, perfect the next, well, the last three, and what's scheduled for the next week or so is not looking very, very nice. So it just doesn't stop. It just doesn't stop. We can't even take the puppy out for a walk. Anyway, um, what I'm going to kind of talk from my perspective of times that I have stepped up, and what that kind of feels like, and how do we develop the courage muscle, and which way do we need to look at things, and what do we need to tell ourselves in order to be able to step into there. Yeah, every single person who has practiced or demonstrated, hey Tracy, demonstrated courage has is not immune to fear. Every single one of us has fear. It's more like who is brave enough to take the next steps in out of that comfort zone, right? And so, what I have figured out over time is that you recognize the feeling where you need to take that leap of faith. You feel a little bit sick or uncomfortable, but you go through and push through, and you know that at the other end of that is um, um, gold. Hey, Kate, nice. Thank you guys for saying good morning. Good morning. Good morning to everyone. All right, so you get that feeling, and one of my authors years back, she did a presentation, and this really stuck into my head. She actually did it at one of our master classes, and she goes, "To me, sick means go." Okay, sick means go. So that feeling in your tummy, the butterflies. Oh my God, am I really going to do this? I'm scared. What's going to happen? I'm scared to invest in myself or whatever it is. Sick means go. Good morning, Luba. Great to see you on the call as well. All right, so sick means go. Start to recognize the physiological changes that happen within your body, because that's the moments that you got to kind of practice courage, and within by repeating and taking and saying yes to yourself beyond those feelings, you will start to enter a zone where you start to become comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? And as that progresses, then you become almost like become a little bit more number to those feelings, and you kind of go, I know this is good for me. Good morning, Dee. Great to see you. Lots of you guys on Monday morning. You knew this was going to be the last one for the year. You want to check it out. All right, cool. So the thing is, the other stuff to really unpack for yourself, and this is a great time for this year. I guess this is a good conversation in the lead up of us moving into a brand new year, filled with new goals and new ideas and all that kind of stuff of what we want to do. But it's really to work out, what do you want? Okay, so first thing is, like in order to be courageous and take steps, like courage is different for everyone, right? We all have, by the way, different fears. And identifying what are our biggest fears is also a powerful way of acknowledging and being aware of it. Because generally, we will do anything to compensate for our biggest fears, right? Okay, so let's go back to, what do you want? So, mapping out what you want is really important, and not mapping it out. So it's kind of, yeah, I want this because that kind of lives in my comfort zone, and this is what I think is possible for me. But what do you really want? What is your BHAG? We did a planning day a couple of weeks ago. BHAG stands for big, hairy, audacious goals, right? So what are those ones? Because those are the ones that are meant to scare you, right? They're meant to like kind of go, "Ooh, am I really going to achieve that? Am I really saying I really want that?" Okay? Because in order for us to grow, we need to push outside the areas that really kind of we've been doing over and over and over again, and are kind of like our daily or yearly or monthly routines, right? So working out what is it that we want is the first step, right? The second step is really leveraging the cost of not getting what we want. Okay? What is the cost of inaction? So what will it cost us? If we didn't say what if we didn't achieve what we wanted, what are the costs? So as we spoke about a few weeks ago, people will, take action or be motivated by two factors of pain or pleasure. So these two things. So what do you want is the pleasure, and what's the cost of not acting is the pain, right? And if you can make the pain like really, and what else could happen and what else will happen, kind of drill right down to it. And you can go chunk up to, if you get what you want, what will happen, and then what will happen, and as a result, how will you feel, and all that kind of stuff. So chunk up and down, and really leverage the pleasure and the pain. Then you're ready to then go, okay, how do I break now this down? Because if you look at a big picture of a whole year, or of action, of what you want, it can be really overwhelming. You don't even want to start. Just like writing a book, my authors go, "Oh my God, I could never sit there and type up 40, 50,000 words and all that." Yeah, but I said, you can set aside 2-hour blocks twice a week, and you can just chip away at that. and you look back what you've achieved after 2 or 3 months, it'll be massive. You would have written your book, right? The key is about consistency, and this is what we were doing at planning days. Like, okay, we're going to look at the whole year, but then we're going to step back and chunk it right down to those tiny little steps. So that each day you know what the actions are, and when you reflect back, just like when I reflect back now on this whole 2020 and how much has just happened, even by being locked up at home for 6 months, and how much, tasks and goals, and buying this house, and I guess setting it up, buying it remotely, settling and doing all the loans and all that kind of stuff, buying all the furniture, everything that has happened, to make this a reality was like a 6 month project, right? The authors that we have helped, the books that we've completed, that didn't happen overnight. There's a whole year of actions and daily consistency behind those actions, right? All right, so the next thing is really to create accountability in your life. How do you create accountability? Well, of course, be in groups with like minded people, or, of course, having mentors or coaches and people that you can, check in with regularly. It really will keep you accountable and on track. So, another thing is, with exercising, right? So, we talked about people who are courageous enough to speak, to write a book, but also exercise and remaining healthy and consistent with your health routines requires, a lot of discipline. And this is why I have a personal trainer twice a week. And then I have another couple of times that I will do exercise by myself in the week, because I know that by having that coach or trainer, not only will she push me out of my comfort zone, and take and do actions that I perhaps wouldn't do so much in my own little sessions of exercise myself. So accountability is really key. It can be with people from like-minded groups, or it can be from people who are ahead of you on the journey, and you will need to report back into on a regular basis, because that's how you will definitely do it. If you especially are paying someone for their service, and to mentor, coach you, or push you is really key. I mean, you can really develop some courage right there, because half of the transformation, what I believe occurs when we hire a coach or invest in a program and all that kind of stuff, half of it is because of the steps and the actions and the accountability that will provide. The second half of the transformation is from the sheer fact that we're investing and we've put skin in the game. Yeah, we've put skin in the game, so we need to turn up. We need to do the work, because if we don't do it, yeah, it's a waste. We're flushing money down the toilet, right? So really, if you really want to challenge yourself, hiring someone that you pay to work with is gonna push you. I mean, I remember in my early first 4 or 5 years in business, I always had one-to-one coaches, but whenever I transitioned from one to the other, let's say I had a period of few months where I didn't have a coach or a mentor that I was paying, I would be like on a bit of cruise control, taking it easy, still taking my consistent actions, but not quite entering those zones that really, made me uncomfortable. The minute I put money in the game and hired someone, of course, because I would want to learn from them, learn the strategies and all that, all of a sudden I'd develop 10 times more ability to take action and do the things that would suggest that I really felt uncomfortable doing. Because I knew from the sheer fact, if I'm going to invest in someone, I'm going to do what they say, because I really want to get my return on investment, and not just once. I want to get it back 10 times, because that's the point. You work with someone not just to get your money back, you work with someone or invest in a program because you're going to get you're going to make more money, or you're going to be healthier, or you're going to achieve the result, and it's going to be priceless for you. Okay. So really, really, really key to, and I think, at some point, you don't always have to have coaches and mentors all that, like full time. Like, in the last few years, I haven't, but I've developed, like, by having them in the first 4 or 5, I really have developed, that, the muscle for getting uncomfortable in times that, I feel like, oh, I'm too much in my comfort zone. I need to try something different. I need to do more. And often, as you develop a team, like, I find that my team often challenges me. and they're giving you ideas, and then they make suggestions, and maybe we should try this, maybe we should try that. So like that power of the mastermind, that's another way of, I guess, instilling accountability in your life, is having that power of the mastermind and other people. So surrounding yourself with those like-minded people and people who are ahead of the journey, from where you are, that are going to encourage you to step out, right? To step out of the comfort zone. I really, really think that others demonstrating, taking risks, and doing things that we kind of go, oh, would I ever be able to do that? But the more we hang around people, an example, a real life example from last week. So we've got this pool fence wall, if you like. You may have seen us, the Juddy, my son, jumping off it. It's quite high. I actually jumped off the other day, and it scared the shit out of me. But the girls, the two girls, have never jumped off a wall into a pool, because they were always kind of scared. And Mika, my middle daughter, she's the scaredest out of all of the kids around those things. But she had a friend come over for a sleepover here, one of my author's girls, Jojo. And Jojo is a, what is it, cheerleader. She does cheerleading comps and all that kind of stuff. And she's kind of always, pushed herself out of her comfort zone, and obviously trains and does all that kind of stuff. And so Jojo straight away, oh, she saw the wall, yep, I'm going. And she climbed up and she jumped, and she said, come on, Mika, it's really fun, come on. And Mika would sat there and said, I'm a scaredy cat, I'm a scaredy cat, about it. And then she goes, come on, we'll do it. And she could see how Jojo was really enjoying herself. And, even as she would jump off, she would do like splits and things like that. And Mika said, all right, she could see like, nothing was happening to her. So she did it first on her bum. She went up on the wall and she slid across on her bum and jumped off. And then she did it like 10 times on her bum and said, oh my God, this is so much fun and all that kind of stuff. And then finally, as they hung out more and more and more, she got the courage to slowly walk across and then jump off. And now she's jumping and doing like splits up in the air and all that kind of stuff. And the little one, who's only 6, the previous day had watched Diane, one of my authors, the other kid, they came and hung out with us. The little girl was the same age as the little one. And the day before, she watched Esme jumping, and she just observed. And then the following day, she said to Stuart, Dada, come, I want to show you something. And she jumped off this massive fence, because it's pretty high for a little person that way. So they're 2 examples of 2 of my kids, or 2 different other kids, who were courageous enough to do what they couldn't do, but they watched them, surrounded themselves by, someone who was courageous enough to do it. And because, see, they watched their brother, they didn't do what their brother was doing, because maybe, being a boy, a bit older, they couldn't relate to him, right? Whereas the other girls were exactly their age and sex, if you like, and they modeled what they had done. And now everyone's jumping off the fence in the wall. So what I'm just saying is, just there's a simple example in life of surrounding ourselves by those that are courageous to take the steps that we are not yet courageous enough to take. But by watching them, and they rub off on us. Often, another thing that happens, people come to write a book with us, right? And sometimes they write the books, they just say, nah, I'm not interested in having a business. All I want to do is write my legacy book. All I want to do is just fulfill this thing and leave it for my family, or just tell my life story. That's all they say at the beginning. And I said, that's okay, but I say to them, don't be surprised if you do hang around me for a bit longer, that you start getting business ideas and develop something that's going to end up serving other people. And often exactly what happens, not every single person, but the more they hang out, they listen to the language, they watch other people, building other products behind the book, providing certain services. There's Luba, you're talking about me. I'm not talking about just you, Luba. I'm talking about many, many authors who will just come and write their story, and then they just start to develop they just don't know what they don't know yet, and it's okay. I even had one gorgeous author from this area sign up with us to come and do the Feb retreat, and that's pretty much what she said. All I want to do is take the first steps. I want to just take the first steps and do the book first. And I go, that's perfect. Actually, not giving yourself too many um, expectations of what you need to create behind this. Just get the first step in the project done, then we can think about other stuff. If you want to, it's okay as well. And so the more they hang around their fellow authors, they're watching, they're observing, all of a sudden they start to gain the courage, because maybe they didn't have the courage to begin with. Maybe they didn't have the courage. They would say, I could never be a business owner. I just don't see myself that way, or I don't want to do this or that, and they just kind of, maybe fear is there, just speaking. Then maybe they really want to do it, but they just don't think this is possible for me. But the minute they start to observe some references for success, they start to go, oh, maybe I can take that next step. The last metaphor or story I'm going to share is often, and Lou was saying, never have thought I would have a book. I work with Brain Pens and have workshop book for January. There you go. And this is Luba's, has had a steady corporate job and all that kind of stuff. And she wrote her story about her family, and then now it's evolved into all of these amazing other things that she will be doing. The metaphor of, when there's fog, um you know maybe that's what happens to us as human beings, is we can't see what's in the fog, 20, 30, 100 meters ahead. But as we get closer to those distances, we can see what's ahead of us, what those next steps are, and how they unfold, right? So maybe it is okay to just take those first steps of courage and just see what unfolds. And probably that's less overwhelming for you as a person. 10.5 years ago, I never started wanting a multiple seven figure business. If you told me, yeah, go for this, I would have said, you're like nuts. All I want is to somehow work part time, have a coaching practice with one-to-one clients, and achieve that six figure, goal that many people talk about. That's all I would have. That's all. Like, even that was a far away dream. Even all I just wanted was replace my day job income so I could just work for myself and not someone else. Those were the first initial goals, and often I'd put stuff on my vision board. That was really like that BHAG, the big, scary, hairy, audacious goals, and I wouldn't believe them. I wouldn't, like, I would just kind of like go, what am I even putting on there, right? I remember putting the thing, $100,000 a month. And to me, every time I look, I go, what am I dreaming? I can't even make $100,000 a year. And this happened for, um, first couple of years. This is just like out of this world, but I just put it there, let it sit up there and all that kind of stuff. So you know there's a quote, I think it goes something like, we overestimate what we can do in a shorter period of time and underestimate what we can do in a longer period of time. Yeah. Had someone told me in 10 years you're gonna be a multiple seven, I would have gone, yeah, you're crazy. Yeah, right. As if that would ever happen, right? But so just be mindful of that, and what is actually possible. So if you're overestimated what you can do in a shorter period of time, bring it back a little bit, make it more manageable, and learn how to um, what's the word I'm looking for? Um, you calibrate. Yes. So we need what I needed to learn in the first 2 years is how to calibrate my ability to achieve certain goals. First of all, I would set these massive goals, and then I would be so disappointed when I didn't achieve them, and then I needed to bring it right back, and then to sort of tweak and calibrate what was possible and where was that stretch zone and how does that look like. So that's one of the key things, because often people can say, I set goals, but I never achieved them, or all that sort of stuff. So it's about calibrating yourself. Everyone's different. Everyone can achieve goals at a different rate of speed, and so what is yours? So, and just remembering that in fog, life is like fog, right? You can only see those few steps ahead of you, and then make decisions according to what you can see, and therefore, and still, however, be able to plan something that you cannot see into the future, and just leaving it up to the universe. I have always a big believer that the universe does take look after those that practice courage and that take actions. So let me just see here if I've covered off. So just as a summary, I'll just give you a summary in case you joined on a little bit later into the call. Even if you're crap at it, if you have courage to step up, you will still inspire others. Yeah. So the most important thing is to do what other people won't do, like speaking in front of groups, like writing a book, like getting up in the morning and doing your exercise regularly. And I often say, don't think too much, just do. You know what they say? If you start to talk to yourself in the morning when your alarm clock goes off, often 9 out of 10 times you'll talk yourself out of doing your exercise, right? But if you just get up, put on your clothes, and have them right close to you and really convenient and fast, get onto it before you even had the time to think, you'll generally maintain and be very disciplined around that. And I often think that works really well in other areas of our lives, is that if we can just do, of course, thinking is important, right? However, overthinking is not, right? Decide what you want to do the day before, and then you just do it. You don't think about it. How will I feel about this? What is this going to be like? Da, 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 and start to overanalyze, right? Okay, so the universe rewards those that step up and take risks. The more you get uncomfortable, the more comfortable you get accustomed to that feeling, and you're able to do it over and over. Working out what do you really want, so leveraging pleasure versus also what's the cost of not taking action, leveraging pain in a massive way, because we will do more to avoid pain than to experience pleasure. Creating accountability and surrounding ourselves with those that take risks and demonstrate courage is what's going to build up our courage muscle. And the last little quote that I always play out in my head when I am feeling defeated, okay? Because often the times that we feel defeated, or what's the point, and I don't want to do it, like it's not working or whatever, this is the little quote that's really stuck into my head for many years. It is by Marianne Radmacher. It says, courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes courage is the quiet voice at the end of the day saying, I'll try again tomorrow. And often that's like, when I was traveling on a lot of tours, and maybe you don't have a result every single time. Sometimes you have massive results, you're on top of the world. But I would feel defeated, and then I'd go, oh, all this effort, time, money spent, travel, leaving my family. What's the point? It's not working or whatever. And then, I'd remember this quote, and I'd go, you know what? The difference between me and people who don't do it or will give up is that they won't try again tomorrow. So then I would get up the next morning and I'll say to myself, and I'll try again today, and I'll get out there with the same energy, with the same enthusiasm and passion for what I do. And it's a whole new day, it's new opportunities, new people, and that's what matters. And I keep remembering this quote. I always keep remembering it, that the difference between those that give up and those that don't, it's not that those that continue being successful, they just keep getting up and trying again. That doesn't mean they don't fail. Like in the last month, I think I hit up a lot of no's in a row. Like I had a lot of rejection the last month. I was starting to really get down on myself. Oh, maybe this doesn't work, or this and that, blah, blah, blah. And then last week we had a massive week, and things did turn around. It's sometimes about that patience as well, it's not always going to be successful results. You will feel defeated. Doesn't matter where you are in this journey. If you are right at the beginning, in the middle, or quite experienced, you will feel defeated at times, and you will need to step up. Oh my God, you guys, there were so many more comments here on on this, and I haven't read them. Sorry. Awesome. I'm just reading them. That quote gave me goosebumps. Thanks to enjoy your holidays. Yeah. Sorry, guys. The comments didn't come. I keep scrolling up, and all I could see, it was just all that. I'll reply to you guys later. Anyway, so I wish you a very courageous 2021 moving forward. Taking the new actions that are required for our new world of how things are working now and what works, what doesn't work, and the ability to have the courage to change, pivot, and continue adjusting along the way. And try again tomorrow. If something doesn't work, you got to try again tomorrow. And when you discover a thing that does work, then keep doing it. Don't stop doing it. And often, things, even a thing that's working can stop working, but don't give up on it. You got to give it a significant period. I love that. Courage is my word for 2021. That's a great word for a yearly theme, if you like. So I want to wish everyone a beautiful Christmas and happy holidays, happy New Year. This is the last live with Nat for 2020. And I'll be back around the 4th of January is the return date back into the business. We finish up this Friday. So have an amazing and a safe holiday. Celebrate, eat lots of food, drink, whatever you like to do, because we start all over again next year with fresh new dreams, hopes, and goals. And let's, I'm grateful. I've had a wonderful 2020 in amongst all the challenges that were there. But as I said, if it wasn't going to work the way I did it, I changed it and still was defeated many times, but still picked myself up and kept going. So mwah, mwah, mwah. Loved connecting with you guys. I certainly will be back with you next year, and I'll talk to you soon. And like always, smash it out. Bye. Have a great week.